Alright, it is Irish whiskey lineup time. This is going to be a very long video, because I'm putting all these together.
Let's go!
All the spots, at least. So, this is the first of many spots for the night. This is just the trademark green spot.
This is the standard offering. It's finished in sherry and bourbon barrels. It's 80 proof, super light drinker. It
ticks every box for generic Irish whiskey.
Generic higher end Irish whiskey.
Yes.
Like, this is not your Jameson. This is significantly better than any Jameson. Well, most Jamesons, most of your Patties, most of your whatever. But yeah, let's dive into it. So, peach rings, fruit orchard, apples, a little bit of vanilla cream.
I feel like I had a stroke trying to differentiate where you're stopping one tasting note, or one note you're getting and starting the next one.
That's the idea. It's like a huge mashup of all of these. It's like if you made a jelly or a jam of peach rings, apples, a little bit of cinnamon, orchard fruit in general, so like pears, I want to say a little bit of plum too. And then like a little bit of soft oak, like not like bourbon oak, but like freshly cut green oak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love
As you say, I'm relying more on you for this because
Yeah.
I'm not as good at picking up notes in the nose of an Irish.
Like the noses on Irish is so much nicer than Scotch. I don't understand why people drink so much damn Scotch. But I'll take it
because
I can get
fancy and money.
Yeah, because I can get all of these easily compared to everything Scotch. Sweet, fruity, honey,
Very fruity.
little biscuity. Goes down so easy. A little bit of warmth. Yeah, you get peach rings and honey on the forefront. Melt into this like honey, creme brulee, caramel, with a little bit of spice throughout, and then it finishes off a little bit floral with like honeysuckle throughout. It's just such a refreshing whiskey. Like, this is like the perfect summer whiskey to me.
It's fall now.
It is now. It's warm today though, so
Relatively
we're on.
speaking.
We got this in at just the right time. It's still warm.
Yesterday was an awakening though.
Yesterday was beautiful, except for all the shit that happened.
Yeah.
For everyone, so somebody forced me into a fender bender and hit my car, and then my other car is in the shop and is absurdly overpriced right now.
To my viewer, this idiot bought a Mini Cooper, so ignore any rational speaking that comes out of him because it's not rational.
I got bad advice on the reliability of this car, and I regret it. Bye, Lise.
Bye. We might be back later, who knows?
We'll still be here.
Coming back.
Probably.
Must be like day.
But
Yeah.
this is just a beautiful, simple, delicious whiskey.
Feel like every Irish I've tried so far in this range true is one where I sip it when I want to pour a glass and not think about it.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm glad that I didn't end up buying Writer's Tears, because even though Writer's Tears is 12 proof higher, I like this better.
I'd have to try them side by side because I did like that double oak.
I did enjoy it as well, but like, going back to this, I think I like this better because it's somehow less proof and just as much flavor and viscosity.
This is fair, yeah. But yeah, one of many spots for the night.
Yeah, it just at 80 proof, it still just hangs on the glass. Like, it literally glazes the glass.
It really does, though.
All those oils and esters from the copper pot still.
Maybe the Irish are onto something.
And for right now, they are under the radar.
Alright. We're keeping up with the green, and this is the Zinfandel cask finish green spot.
So here's the interesting thing about this. This green spot is the same green spot we just tried. Same age and everything, except for a couple extra months to a year in Zinfandel casks.
And we didn't say this before, but the green spot is about 6 to 7 year. Is it still age statement?
I think it's between 8 and 10 years.
Is it really?
I believe so, yes.
Huh.
Because Irish Scotch, most of those average around between 8 and 10 years.
I know it used to have a 7-year age statement at one point.
It may have, I don't know. But the thing about this one is that this had the proof bumped up to 92 proof, and it's the exact same price. So it's slightly older, 92 proof, and it's still $65.
And extra finish.
Yes. So
In a dry red one this time around.
yes, I honestly forget what Zinfandel is half the time.
It's a nice dry red.
All right, well, let's hop into it because so much richer. Like blackberry, raspberry jam, huge
That's
on
exactly
the nose.
the nose is exactly what I expected, to be honest.
Yep.
Dark, rich fruit and berries.
It still has some of that peach ring undertones, a little bit of the orchard fruit.
Again, it's keeping with, it's super, super fruity. It's just this kind of covers all the bases.
And then I get, like, instead of, like, the doughiness that I got on the nose of the other one, this one I get a little bit more cinnamon roll. It follows up right after the fruit finishes up.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then definitely, like, that little bit of, like, oakiness. Again, it's, like, more of a fresh oak.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, the nose on this, absolutely superb. Oh. So it doesn't, on the front end, it doesn't have as much wine punch as I was expecting.
No, it doesn't.
It has like a full on, like, amped up.
And I've kind of noticed that's a little bit more characteristic of dark wine finish whiskey. Because the Thomas S. More was kind of like that too, where a lot of the fruit influence came in the middle.
Yep, came in the middle or the finish.
Yes.
This,
Although the finish on the More was a little different because it was very chocolatey.
Yes.
But
with this one, like, you get like an amplified standard green spot punch, so like more apple, more pear, more peach ring. And then in the middle it starts to transition into that little bit of chocolate, jammy, dark fruit notes. A little bit of oak spice on the finish of this one with the extra proof.
so to draw a bit of a comparison, it's kind of interesting that like a lot of the fruit notes remind me of standard Elijah Craig.
Yeah, if you were to like take away like the rich oak notes of Elijah Craig, I could see
It's
that.
almost it sort of just feels like a Irish whiskey take on that, if that makes sense.
I could see that, yeah. And honestly,
Of course, I think it works a lot better in this than it does in standard Elijah Craig.
oh yeah, that's because Elijah Craig is like trying to do fruit with bourbon, which you have to do a certain way, and they overdid the fruit with it.
Yeah, granted, it's with their cheap small batch. So,
Yes.
I mean, it's...
It is what it is.
This is...
Yeah.
really different.
This is a finished Irish whiskey. Like, this is not like, I would say, as iconic as the standard green spot. It's a little bit richer, more flavorful, more notes.
This appeals more to a bourbon drinker than I think regular Great Spot would.
I would have to agree, yeah. This takes on more like the darker notes in the
It
finish.
sort of acts as a segue between the two.
Yeah, and the extra proof definitely helps with that too, because it's more flavorful like a bourbon.
Like if this is what I had tried first, or if this is what regular Green Spot tasted like, it would have solidified me jumping into Irish a little bit more.
Yeah, because the more you take sips of this, the more the oak starts to pop out too. Like, it has like that warm oak undertone between all the sips and flavors.
Just obviously not as strong as it would be if it were a bourbon aged
Right.
this long, just because it's in used casks.
Yeah, like whenever you think bourbon, you think like oak,
Right.
oak
Because
table finish.
this was still in used bourbon cask and used sherry cask.
Yes.
So the oak, compared to any bourbon aged even nearly this long, is going to be muted compared to that.
Right. But yeah, it still has that little bit of seasoned fresh oak as an undertone. I really like this. I still think I like the standard green spot better, which is to my benefit because this isn't going to be around all the time regularly.
Right. I was going to say, if I had to pick so far, this is the one I'd pick. But, I mean, you know where I stand on where my palate does not lean toward Irish just by nature.
Right.
So the ones that are more reminiscent of bourbon are the ones that tend to draw me closer.
Yeah, so far I would happily have this still line up with everything on here because I've tasted several of these already, and I would have the entire spot line up still because they stand out more than any other Irish whiskey I've tried.
I have to agree so far.
Yeah. Like,
because I've at least now tried a good handful, and these are definitely distinctly different.
I think that this distillery, Midleton, is going to be the equivalent to my Jim Beam for bourbon.
I can see that.
Because they also make Method and Madness,
right.
Jameson, and Connemara. No, they don't make Connemara. Cooley makes Connemara. They make another big name, and I can't remember who it is.
Yeah, I don't know offhand.
I don't either.
I know they also dabble in Scotch.
They own Scotch distilleries, but
yes.
I don't think they make any Scotches. I think that they just don't.
I would consider having ventures in Scotch still. Dabbling in Scotch because they're still investing in it.
But yeah, again, this is totally worth the money, especially because it's the exact same price as the standard.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'm always surprised. And you got these on the website, right?
Yeah, they're still on the website because stuff does not sell out that is Irish.
That's what's I mean, it's to be expected for me, but that's what is surprising about PA is like when you get these different varieties, they're hardly more expensive than the regular ones. When you get store picks, hell, half the time the store picks are the same price, if not a $5 difference. Penelope, $5 difference. That Weller Antique store pick, that's the same price Antique would be if it showed up here.
Yeah.
The Eagle Rare pick is $30. Buffalo Trace picks are $30, but I mean, regular Buffalo Trace is $27. That's not dramatic.
No. And
I don't think I've had a pick. I mean, the foolproof picks for 1792 are the same as the foolproof.
And that's the nice thing too about PA is that we have a control state, but we have a control state that fucking cares.
We have a control state that has people who like whiskey clearly high up.
So we get good shit.
And we're such a good buyer that a lot of these big distilleries love us.
Right.
But
because we are the #1 single buyer from Jack Daniels. Mm-hmm. That's why we get so much of the specialties.
And from Buffalo Trace too, but that's because from Sazerac, but that's because Sazerac owns Fireball as well, and that's our settler in all of Pennsylvania. The little minis, the 99-cent shooters, is the #1 profit generator for the state of PA. I don't know if you knew that. They make 66 cents on each 99-cent mini.
Are you freaking serious?
And that is their, by far, highest moving product in the state.
That's ridiculous.
Like, we're talking orders of magnitude over second place. Granted, you could spend $10 and get 10 of them. But, like, whereas the other stuff on this list, they're like $12 a pop or $15 a pop.
I think
that just shows the sheer volume of those things.
That's ridiculous.
I think it's because we also have, relatively speaking, some of the most like one of the states with the most universities in the country. Mm-hmm. Obviously, California probably has more. But the thing about that is that PA
Pennsylvania does have a lot of universities.
But the reason why California is not, I'm not counting California in that, is because California's not a control state. They're a privatized liquor state. So,
so you don't have individual buy. Like, a state's not an individual buyer.
So PA as a state is buying all of the Fireball for all of the universities. That makes sense. So that makes sense.
Fireball keg, by the way.
I saw that.
5.25 liters, $70, and it's a literal plastic keg.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm here for it, to be honest. I'm here for it. Anyway, let's bring this back real quick so that way we can. That way, this video will only be an hour instead of 2. But
this is fantastic. This definitely.
And it makes me excited to try the next one, which will be introduced momentarily.
I'm even more excited to try that one than this one.
Oh yeah, the Bordeaux cask,
Yes.
Alright, now here's the other wine cask finished green spot. Again, in a drier red wine.
Bordeaux wine cask, Chateau Leoville Barton. I've heard that this is the better of the two, and I'm actually looking forward to it because this is the darker of the two. So
significantly, actually. The other one was pretty light. This is definitely more on the amber side of things.
Yeah, they definitely progressed from like.
It still coats the glass when you. It's still super viscous.
That's single pot still, dude. Pot still whiskey is like something else, which is a shame because it doesn't work for bourbon.
No, it doesn't.
But malt whiskey, it works beautifully. Oh, way more mapley. There's a lot more maple.
The nose is, in general, is a lot more intense on this one.
Like Luxardo cherry, like raspberry
I'm
syrup.
holding the glass here, and I can still... you're still getting it. For perspective, for those who definitely cannot see our faces, I was holding it like probably 4 or 5 inches away from my nose, and I could still smell it.
Yeah, like Luxardo cherry, raspberry syrup.
It's
I
so it's like you took the Zinfandel cask and just lightened all the fruit flavors to make them slightly sweeter variations.
And it smells darker too. Like that's the weird thing. It smells darker. This smells way fruitier. Like I don't get nearly as much oak or nearly as much like peach ring and orchard fruit.
I get very little beyond fruity notes.
And
very
like dark mashed like jammed fruity notes. Like dried fruit too. I do get like dates, raisin, fig. All right, yeah, let's get into this one. I'm excited.
The fruit is a lot more pronounced right off the bat.
Yep. It took like the Zinfandel finish, like it popped at the front end with like standard Irish whiskey single pot still notes of like orchard fruit and honey. This one darkened them and like added like a
and the darkness, like those sort of dark notes just kind of go the whole way through.
Yes. Like
I don't notice a huge transition between the very beginning of the palate toward when it's getting to the finish.
Yeah, and this one on the palate it has a little bit more oak spice to it that I like. Like it matches the flavor better.
I always like oak spice more with either super sweet bourbon notes or darker flavors in general. Dark chocolate, dark fruit. It tends to work better and not clash.
And I am getting a bit of cocoa nib on this because I'm getting like vegetal cocoa.
I can see that.
I'm not getting like, cocoa powder or like
it's almost like
chocolate.
Like straight up cacao pod.
Yeah, because like it's a little green too.
I wouldn't even go as far as cocoa nib. It almost tastes like you literally took a pod off of a cacao plant and just took a bite out of it.
Potentially, yeah. Like toast it up a little bit, and that's exactly what that would taste like. Because it's vegetal. Like there's vegetal notes to this. I think this is my favorite so far.
I have to agree.
But it's also the least...
The order we've had them has been the order from least favorite to favorite for me.
I think the issue I have with this one is this also tastes the least iconically Irish. What was that?
That's also why this is on top for me. it has the complexity I want. It has... It's funny, this doesn't have a ton of bourbon notes, but it just, like, there's something about just all these dark fruit notes.
It has some similarities with young bourbon, honestly.
I just don't get a ton of you don't get a lot of the
yeasty, doughy,
you don't get
gross
yeasty notes, but you do get like a little bit of young oak spice. And
yeah, like green oak. This works very well. And
it does.
This is a fantastic whiskey. Like, I can't really say if I like this better than the standard or not because this is so much different than the standard.
Right.
But
that's the one problem. We're going to be comparing, like, none of these are going to be super comparable with each other aside from the fact that they're from the same place.
Yeah, not at all.
Because we're going to be talking different age statements, different proofs.
Not only that, but every
finishes.
single one of them have a different finish. Yeah. So like the first one is just sherry and just bourbon. The second
those
one's
two in Zinfandel.
Yeah, same thing as Zinfandel.
In
Bordeaux. The next one is bourbon, sherry, and Malaga, and then the 15 bourbon, sherry, and masala, and then the blue spot is the same things, and then Madeira.
Yeah.
So
that's the one interesting thing is, it's hard to even compare how age changes things because they change the finishing too.
Right.
Practically I've noticed that's a pretty standard thing for Irish and for Scotch.
And that's what they wanted to do. Like they wanted to add different finishes to each thing.
Meanwhile, you see with bourbon, they make them different things. You have one where they aged longer.
Right.
You have one where they double oaked it or finished it. You have one where they might have done both.
That's why I want to get more of the red spotlight or Redbreast lineup because Redbreast is just.
They have like the Lustau.
No, because like the age-stated ones are just bourbon and just sherry.
Oh, all of them.
So like the 12-year, 15-year, 21-year. The only one that's different is the 27-year because that one's finished in port casks. but the 27 is also the only other cask strength.
That's also probably not the most attainable bottle.
It is in PA because they have I think 30 some bottles in PA. It's just $550.
When I said most attainable, I'm partially talking price here because not a lot of people are going to spend $500 something on an Irish whiskey.
I might, whenever I have something special happens, pick up a bottle of it because I do want to try a bottle of whiskey that is older than me before I die, and that's going to be the most easily attainable one that I'm probably going to enjoy.
The easiest way to do that is just die young.
Well,
makes a fair point.
he does, but buying a whiskey before I turn 27 at $550 is easier than waiting until I'm 50 and trying to find a 50-year whiskey.
Buying a whiskey before 27, they have a club for that.
Alcoholics Anonymous.
I mean, that probably just ask Kurt or Janice or Amy. I don't know, do I need to keep naming off singers that died at 27?
Well, here's the thing. They also did cocaine and other illicit substances that I don't do.
What I'm hearing is you're a fucking loser.
Maybe. But whiskey tastes good. And
whiskey does taste good.
Will kill me slower. I'm being serious about that.
But anyway. Yeah, this is easily my favorite of the three so far.
I have to agree.
Again, this is where we differ. I put them from least favorite to favorite in the order we've tried them so far.
I would put standard green spot above the Zinfandel. And then I have a hard time picking it, but I think I might put this a little bit above standard green spot. But again, this is so much different than an Irish whiskey that it's hard for me to pick.
Right.
But anyways, yeah. I thoroughly fucking love this.
Yeah. It's really good. Alright. We're stepping it up with the age here. So Yellow Spot. This is a 12-year.
This is supposed to be the most desserty of the lineup. It's supposed to be the sweetest, most I guess decadent.
I'm liking what I'm hearing.
It's cakey is apparently what people have described it as. So I'm interested in seeing it. I'm hoping that they're right.
I should add, by the way. So this is a $99 or a $100 bottle.
$100 bottle, yeah.
The first three were all the same price at $65.
So it's a big
plus
jump.
the shipping to get the other two. But
yeah, this is a big jump.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
But let's see if it warrants it. Oh.
It actually does smell cakey.
It does. It straight up smells like
angel food cake.
Buttercream icing too.
Buttercream icing and angel food cake. A little bit of grape. Still get a little bit of
green grape.
Yeah, green grape. A little bit of peach ring undertone, but it's not as prevalent as before.
No, not at all. Again, we're keeping with sticking to the side of the glass.
Yep.
I think that's going to be a trend the whole way through.
That's just an Irish.
The blue spot might be the exception. We'll see.
I don't think it will be.
I don't think it will be, but if there's one that's going to be, it's that one.
Probably. I already love the smell of this.
Agreed.
Oh, so much vanilla. It's so light and fluffy.
It almost has I never thought I'd describe a liquid as kind of having a whipped cream texture to it.
It does. It literally you taste it and then it evaporates off of your tongue, and it's a soft whiskey. This one is my favorite so far. I can already say this is my favorite so far. This is very different from a standard Irish whiskey, but it's also not.
Right.
And
it's clearly just what comes with aging an Irish whiskey longer.
Yeah.
Because this is a standard Irish whiskey, just aged 12 years.
And it might be the Masala cask too.
What is Masala? Because it's not Marsala, it's Masala.
Yes, Masala. Would you happen to know Masala? I feel like it's a white dessert wine. I think it's a white dessert wine.
I've never heard of it.
Let us see. To Google we go. Finding out the facts live. Fuck it, we'll do it live! It is... No, I don't want Masala House Indian Bistro. on Balm Boulevard, Pittsburgh, PA.
Indian food does sound good, though.
So, it is a tea beverage. Masala chai is a tea beverage.
Oh, so it's based on masala chai.
Yeah.
But this is wine.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh, Malaga. This is Malaga.
Oh, yeah. Tell me the right thing. Jesus.
No, the 15 years Marsala.
Alright, let's see. Now that I was gonna say that didn't make sense.
So I knew masala was a word. I just applied it wrong because I'm also a little bit drunk. Because
It is a sweet fortified wine from PX and Muscatel grapes. It is the mostly sweet white ones.
so it sounds like a sweet. So it sounds like a white port then, basically.
Closer likely to a white sherry.
Oh, okay.
Because I know PX. They use PX grapes to make sherry as well.
Yeah. Well, that's one form of sherry. PX
Well-
sherry is like a drier sherry.
Because I
So-
mean that's what that Lefroy
Lefroy,
is.
yes.
But-
So, either way, this takes on like desserty tea. Like this literally tastes like a British like dessert. Like Earl
You
Grey.
just got all the Irish people that do not watch my videos pissed off because you're comparing their shit to the Brits.
Sorry, UK. UK is a better way to put it.
There you go.
UK, which is why I said British because I thought British was representative of UK. But anyways, like this tastes like has a little bit of Earl Grey tea, sweet cream, like you said, buttercream, angel food cake, and then a little bit of oak spice.
It is so light and fluffy.
There's
Really nice.
so I love this so much.
Why does this have to be $100?
Oh my god, really?
Mm-hmm.
I would actually spend $100 on that one. I think that's well worth the money.
I agree. I don't see myself buying one just because there's a lot of bourbons I'd rather buy that I'll enjoy more.
This
But
is fair.
that's my not as big into Irish whiskey brain talking here.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a hoe for Irish whiskey now. Bourbon will always
You
be
added a couple extra words. I'm a rake. You know what? No, I think you strike me more as a trowel kind of guy.
I like
Sprinkler?
shovels.
I like trains.
I like trains. We need to watch.
Silence is dying.
I'm sorry. The happening of trains just like flashed through my eyes.
The exciting of trains.
The exciting of trains. Yes.
We can play that eventually. But anyway,
This is a beautiful dessert whiskey. I think this is my favorite so
I'm curious
far.
to see how it
Me too.
progresses to the 15 year.
I like the 15-year a lot, but it's very different, and we'll get into that in a minute.
Okay.
But also, from the wino drinker among us, how are you feeling about the?
When you say wino, that's literally calling her a drunk drinker.
I mean, he ain't wrong.
We all do whiskey tastings every fucking week. Maybe we are drunks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
like, wino. Yeah, but
Yeah.
a little bit of a wino.
I said what I said.
Anyway,
Yeah.
your
So,
question.
what do you think about the way that they finish these in different wines? Because I'm not well versed in wines. The most I know about wine is honestly from finished whiskeys.
Look, I'm not going to claim to be an expert on wine. However, I will say, it's really, really interesting to get like the complexity of wine the complexity that I expect from wine in a whiskey, and it's really enjoyable. It's like a meeting between two worlds that I didn't think I would like as much as I do, but I am finding that I'm preferring it over the ones that aren't finished in a wine barrel.
Really? So you prefer wine finished whiskey over like standard whiskeys?
In this particular case, yes.
Interesting.
With Irish, I feel that makes sense too, because it's more of a characteristic of the whiskey with Irish whiskey.
Right.
Where clearly, like, between these, aside from, this is the first instance where aging comes into play on what's different.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
The other ones is the same thing with different finishes, so that's
Right.
literally what they're playing with.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that green dot with the what was it? It was Zinfandel finish versus not. That was so interesting. Like the color and I mean the way it hit the nose differently. It was
And
really cool.
just to add to the Bordeaux finish one felt a lot more related to the Zinfandel finish than the regular green spot.
That it did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was.
Whereas I think the Zinfandel finish was more related to the green spot than the Bordeaux finish, if that makes sense.
It goes to show we perfected it with the lineup because if we
Yeah.
did that, it would have thrown it off.
It's sort of
entirely.
separated in, yeah.
It was a good lineup.
We guessed that way too.
We really did.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I want to see, because now we get one more example of what aging and another finish, a different finish does to it,
Yes, please.
and we get an example of what less age but more proof does.
Yeah.
So
Because honestly, whenever you do cast strength, regardless of the age of the cast strength, it has to go last.
yes,
That's
well,
just.
yeah, I mean, proof has to go last in a lineup like
It
that.
just has to.
Then I have some saltines we can cleanse our palate before we jump into what we're doing after that. We'll probably need to.
I think so. Once we do the 15, because I think the 15 is going to hold up to what we've done so far. Because I've had it before and I love it, but I would love to discuss it. I do think saltines after the 15 would probably be best.
After the 15.
Yes. So.
Okay. Cool. But yeah, so this has been the 12-year yellow spot, and we got 2 more to go.
Woo.
All right.
Red
So-
spot.
15-year. This is, I mean, I doubt there's going to be any difference, but this is the UK market bottle.
It shouldn't be different. I can probably give you an idea if it is or not, but I don't think it'll
I
be
wouldn't
different
think it would
flavor-wise.
be because they're still both import market bottles.
The only difference so far being that this came in a metal tube versus a
And the bottle's
cardboard.
slightly
Smaller.
shorter and,
Yes.
and thicker.
I think it's just perception with thicker because this is 50 milliliters less. This is a 700.
Oh, this is a
milliliter.
700 mil, yeah.
So I think it's just perception that it's a little thicker because it's a little shorter.
Yeah.
But either way,
I thought it was 750.
Right.
Yeah, I got you. But anyway.
let's dive into it.
Ooh.
Syrupy, oaky. This smells reminiscent of a bourbon.
Yes, it does.
And with 15 years being an oak wood in general, yeah, that makes
It's
sense.
going to probably be more reminiscent of like in terms of the oak influence, like a 7 or 8 year
Yeah.
bourbon.
But like, there's a ton of maple notes, jammy dark fruit notes.
Nose, I already like this the best.
Yeah, there's
Easily.
there's nothing from the peach ring or like orchard
Right.
fruit. Of
It loses some of the characteristics of like the mid range and mid aged Irish, but that's to be expected because the more barrel it picks up, the less of those natural flavors it's going to get.
right, like a lot of those esters will evaporate off and become
So
something
to make
else.
a good comparison, compare a 3.5 year bourbon to a 10-year bourbon.
Exactly.
How all that time in the barrel, it's not that it lost those young flavors, it's that they're completely masked by so many other things
Right.
that it loses that raw corn. It's a similar idea here. It
Yeah.
loses that raw young Irish whiskey note.
And that being said, there's still a little bit of the orchard like pear and apple, but like it's just so heavily masked by the heavy jammy fruit and the oak.
It looks and smells syrupy.
Yes, it does. And I get a ton of maple on this too.
Yes,
But
I That was the first thing I got.
so let's dive into the taste. Yeah, almost bourbony. Like the initial hit is brown sugar and maple.
Yes.
You get a little more fruit as it goes down further in. But I think, yeah, like...
Reminds me of a slightly higher malt bourbon.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's still thick. It still coats the glass. This tastes identical to the one that I had that was an American batch. So,
So
you
I
know,
assume the juice really wouldn't be any different. It's the packaging. And
it's literally just the packaging, and there's like 50 milliliters less. I don't know why that is,
the
but
packaging.
Yeah. I don't know why they...
Sorry, I should have done a stage whisper. That's still packaging.
I don't know what it is. I don't know why they do 700 mils versus 750 in America.
I don't know.
I guess like the Texas idea of bigger is better kind of thing, maybe. I don't know.
It's because we're America. We get more for our money. We just don't, but we can pretend.
Yeah.
But
no, this is
like, when I say this is my favorite, I'm talking like this is like steps above my second favorite, and that's not speaking to what I thought of the others. That's speaking to how highly I'm thinking of this.
right, and it's because it does bring out more of the oak, more of the like dark Marsala notes.
It's appealing to the bourbon drinker. Is
Yes.
what it is, because this appeals to me.
Yeah, Red Spot will appeal to the bourbon drinker more than anything else in this lineup.
It's gotten progressively more, not to say bourbon-y, but more bourbon-like notes have come out as we progress through this tasting.
Which makes sense because, like, 15 years in oak versus 8 to 10 years in oak,
Yeah.
it's a vast difference.
Even the 12-year, I mean, another 2 years makes a difference.
It does. And I mean, we've seen that in bourbon.
It doesn't make the same difference as it does in a bourbon, but it makes a difference.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen that whenever we did, like, the Knob Creeks, like the 9-year versus the 12-year versus the 15-year. Vastly different flavor profiles.
Oh, yeah. But, no, this is delicious.
I still think that the 12-year is my favorite of all of them, but this is a delicious whiskey. And
Right, and I think you're also coming at it from, you still want, like, you're drinking it for an Irish whiskey.
yes.
I'm drinking it for what's closest to a bourbon to me.
Right. And yeah, this
Closest to a desirable bourbon to me.
yeah, and this tastes like a 7-year bourbon.
It does.
It very well could, like, aside from like the orchard fruit notes, you could confuse this with a 7-year bourbon.
Agreed.
So that's just the thing about it.
So for those who are watching this that are like me, not really as into Irish whiskey, take this as you will as to which ones you're gonna like more than others. If you like the true Irish whiskey notes, you're gonna like the Green Spot, traditional. The traditional Green Spot is probably the one you're gonna like, or the 12-year, because they both have that distinct Irish whiskey notes.
They do taste distinctly Irish.
The finished ones, again, like you're not gonna mistake either of the finishes for not being an Irish whiskey, but they're not as reminiscent of it.
Yeah, they're about halfway between like an Irish whiskey and a bourbon.
And this, I mean, like you said, if you give this to somebody who's not as into whiskey as we are, and you told them this was a bourbon, they wouldn't bat an eye.
Yeah,
It's close enough that you could pass it for a bourbon if you tried to.
Yeah, you could tell them that this was finished in a wine barrel, but it's a bourbon.
And they would say, "Oh, I love this."
And I could easily see that.
Yeah.
But no, the oiliness of it, like the mouthfeel between all of these has been consistent. This one just feels heavier because of the extra oak notes in it. There is a mouthfeel to Irish whiskey that no other whiskey has, except for like barrel proof bourbon. And
Right.
like barrel proof scotch doesn't even touch what this is doing.
No, it doesn't. And I'm excited to try the cast strength blue spot for that exact reason.
I'm really excited for that.
I mean, we saw how it was at the red breast cast strength.
Oh, that red breast cast strength was divine. Oh my god, I loved it.
So I'm curious to see how the blue spot stacks. Although we're talking a 5-year age difference approximately.
I think it's going to be more Irish, significantly more Irish, but we're going to get a ton more aggressive oak, a ton more aggressive Irish.
A ton more of that peach ring.
I think this is going to be the iconic Irish whiskey of the night whenever we try it. Because I haven't tried it yet, and I'm really excited to.
So. I tried a sample at one point, but I stupidly tried it after a bunch of things. Just to be able to say I had tried it, because I got a sample, but I tried it not trying to analyze it too deep. So now we get to actually analyze it.
Well, we'll dive into it next. Except for the Irish one.
Well, in our spot lineup.
The last of the spots.
Last
Yes,
of the
take a
spots.
taste, please.
Oh, what a nice sound.
So, and of course the one you're taking a taste of, and that's a decent pour for what you're taking a taste of.
Yeah, I really didn't. Does
it's
someone
actually not
want
that
some
bad.
in there?
Nah, you're good. That's not that bad.
Because I 100%
so-
didn't mean to pour that much.
For,
Is that framed?
yes.
Okay.
So welcome, Elise, to our tasting. You're in here right for the end of our lineup, which is the blue spot, which is ironically the youngest of all of these spots, but the highest proof by far. What is the proof on it? Is it 115-ish? Probably 117.4. So yeah, I was about right. Cast strength for Irish and Scotch tends to not be more than 115 to 120.
Yeah,
tends to.
And that's just because the way it works in...
Yeah, they don't put it... It doesn't enter it as high proof.
They actually do enter at a decently high proof. The issue is that they actually lose proof the older it gets versus America where it gains proof.
Right, because the heat... Because it's a temperature differential thing, isn't it?
Yeah, because in America it's cool and like damp because of how humid it is. It gains proof because it's warm and drier, so it loses water.
Yes.
In Europe, it's cool and damp, so it's going to lose alcohol because there's so much water already in the atmosphere.
But the only thing that can evaporate off is a little bit of ethanol.
Yes. This probably was about 120 entry proof, and it lost a little bit because of that.
Yeah, you're never, ever going to likely see a hazmat Irish or Scotch.
If you do, grab it because you're never going to see one again.
Yes. They are borderline true unicorns when it comes to whiskey.
Yes.
But let's get into this one.
So yes. This is whiskey. It smells like whiskey. Sweet, fruity. Honestly, this reminds me of a bourbon.
I was literally about to say this does not smell like an Irish at all to me.
Like, it has citrus fruit.
But even, I couldn't attribute that to being a non-bourbon note because I have bourbons with citrus notes.
Yeah, it smells
I've had ryes especially with citrus notes.
I get caramel, lemon lime, a little bit of oak spice, and...
A little vanilla,
maybe a faint bit of dark fruit, but like a dark,
a red
grape.
I think it's the least fruity one we've had.
Aside from the citrus, yeah, I'd have to agree.
Excluding the citrus, yeah.
This smells the most like a bourbon.
The traditional fruity notes.
Yes.
Because citrus is not traditional in most whiskeys. Until you start cognac finishing them.
Yeah, this is...
We thought this would be the most pure Irish. This is probably the least Irish we've had.
It's the most unique, though, because this doesn't taste like anything I've had before.
It also doesn't drink like 118 proof.
No.
That was really sweet.
This tastes like 100 proof.
Brown sugar. I'm getting bourbon notes. Brown sugar, cinnamon.
Yeah.
Honey.
Mm-hmm.
Brown sugar, cinnamon, honey. This is the sweet... Like, this is a very, 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 very sweet bourbon. Like...
Slight... Like, sweet or dark fruits, I'm talking like... Again, we're talking grape, raisin.
Yes.
Like red grape, raisin.
A little bit of fudge I get on the finish. Like, if you let it sit, I get a little bit of fudge.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I fucking love this.
I don't necessarily get fudge. I do get like a cocoa note.
It's
a
some
little
kind of
bit
chocolate.
drier to me.
Yeah, to me, because of how this mouthfeel is, because it does still have that Irish mouthfeel.
As it sits, I get more of a milk chocolate.
Yeah, and that's why
borderline. I wouldn't say like fudge, but I'd say maybe a chocolate chip cookie.
That's fair. To me, it's like dark chocolate fudge because of how buttery it is still.
I can see that. It definitely still is. And can I just add, like all the others, it doesn't cling to the glass as much, but the other ones coated the glass. This one still like leaves its mark on the glass.
Is this one still? Yeah, this one's still single pot still.
So we found the common factor that's causing that.
And I gotta say, the other like single cask or not single cask, but cask strength Irish whiskeys, I love Redbreast, but I like this a little bit better.
I have to agree. I like this better because again it appeals to my taste more.
And
the Redbreast was so light, fragrant, fruity that I feel like it depending on what you like more, you're either gonna like this way more or like the other one way more.
And I have to agree, like, that's just the thing. Like, the bourbon drinker in me is loving this. The Irish drinker in me is like, this is still amazing. I'm looking for the Irish notes, but like, I love this.
Yeah,
Like, this is a beautiful whiskey.
If you're going for a relatively easy to find Irish cask strength, if you want Irish notes, go Redbreast. If you want more bourbon-y notes, go Blue Spot.
And this is also cheaper than the Redbreast. This is like, what did MSRP at? 90?
100.
Oh, it was 100?
100 versus... No, actually, the Redbreast is $5 cheaper. 95 versus 100.
Yeah. Okay.
So, practically the same price.
Even still, like, this is tied for like my favorite of the Spot lineup.
So, believe it or not, my favorites have gone in order. This lineup,
Interesting.
I've liked them progressively more. This lineup has gone in order for me. I could argue switching between the red spot, yellow spot, and the Bordeaux cask green spot. They're close enough that they could switch around.
Right.
But I would also be perfectly content saying I liked them in the order we tried them from least to favorite.
I have to say, if I had to pick an order, I think I would pick Blue Spot, Yellow Spot, the original Green Spot, the Bordeaux finish, and then the Zinfandel is probably my least favorite.
You didn't even put the red spot in there.
The red spot's hard to place because I want to place it above green spot, but at the same time I don't.
I would chalk that up in your lineup as a tie, where you could flip them either way.
I would say red spot is a tie with green spot, and they're for very different reasons.
Right. Green spot if you want Irish, red spot if you want more bourbon notes.
Not even the bourbon notes, just like the dark fruit notes.
That's true as well, yeah.
Because, I mean, I think that red spot does dark fruit better than any whiskey I've ever tried.
I can agree to that, because I don't like the dark fruit notes as much in Elijah Craig. That's the whiskey known for that when it comes to American whiskey.
Like, I don't think that there is a better dark wine finish than red spot. I don't think that they're, like, in any whiskey.
So my only complaint is that with each of these whiskeys, with the exception of, I think, the green spot and maybe the Zinfandel cask green spot, is that I could pick a bourbon that's cheaper, that has a similar flavor profile, that I would pick over it just because of the cost factor going into this.
And that's fair.
For example, amazing bourbon notes. I have so many bourbons I can get for $50-$60 that have these notes, but even more to my liking. But again, that's for me personally. That's not a knock on any of these.
I still think this stands out a little bit. I can't place...
It 100% stands out.
I can't place why. I want to say it's the mouthfeel and, like, some of the fruit in this, which, again, the fruits are more undertones than, like, main notes, but...
I think that's the big thing, actually.
And I think this is, like, kind of the idea of, like, where you and I differ between, like, Alberta Premium. Like, you love the notes in Alberta Premium, where I'm like, I get the notes of Alberta Premium and other whiskeys I like way better. Like, for example, I think Wild Turkey Rye Rare Breed, I think I get similar notes and I like it better. And
I was going to say, I was the opposite. I did not, like, because I love the intense citrus that you get out of the Alberta Premium, which I don't get in any other rye I've actually had.
I got that in Wild Turkey Rare Breed Rye, but again, it was one of those whiskeys where, like, those notes don't do it for me, so, like, I don't necessarily need the rye.
Right.
But again, this whiskey does something for me that bourbons don't, and I don't know what it is. I don't know how to explain it. I really like this.
I might have to snag a bottle when it comes in again.
You'll have to let me know, assuming that...
I take it you want backups.
I'd like it probably one.
At least a backup.
I would probably just like one. But yeah, no, this is a phenomenal whiskey. I fucking adore this.
And this has been a very solid lineup.
The spots, these are iconic Irish whiskeys. Like, there's the only other thing that really compares is Redbreast, and they both come from the same distillery.
Yeah, they do. So I mean, it kind of makes sense that they're in a league of their own because they're both in that same league.
Yeah. It's like trying to compare Bookers to, like, high-end Knob Creeks. It's hard to compare them because
they're siblings.
They're
siblings. That's what they are. But all in all, yeah, this is a this is a very good lineup.
Yeah, and
I mean, I came in knowing I was gonna like these. I think if I'm going to get into Irish whiskey, these have been the ones that would get me into it.
I think so too. If there's any whiskey that's going to get you into Irish, it's Red Spot. If Red Spot doesn't do it, ignore Irish whiskey and find a different whiskey that's going to fit your your taste profile.
Yeah, the Red Spot and this have been the closest to a bourbon you could get in Irish whiskey that I've had. And if you try it and there's something about it that you just don't like, then Irish whiskey is just not for you, because this is about those two were the least Irish of these Irish whiskeys.
I have to agree.
And yeah, if you don't like the least Irish of the Irish whiskeys, you're not going to like the more Irish. If you're coming from bourbon.
Yep, I have to agree. Oh man.
Or just try a regular old green spot, see if you like those notes, because that's the least investment going in to try it.
Or any of the finishes for that matter.
Or the finishes, if you can get them where you are.
Yeah.
PA, we're kind of lucky that they sit and they're on the website.
Well, Irish whiskey sits everywhere because Irish whiskey is not huge, and I hope it stays that way.
And even Scotch, only certain names are huge. Other ones, like that Lafroig 10 cash strength I got in Delaware, that had been sitting since 2016. There was so much dust on that bottle.
Peatids are very, very particular for people, so a lot of them will sit. But there's also the fanatics, like I'm
Like
sure
John
you've.
Heidenreich.
And have you seen Humberto?
Yeah, because I'm friends with both of them.
Yeah, Humberto.
Trust me, they're the ones getting me into peat because they keep giving me all of these samples.
Yeah, they hoard bottles of it because they keep buying cases of it.
John's buddy Richard, he had bought, I told you about him, he's bought a case and a half worth, almost 2 cases of that Lafroig. Specifically, not to trade. Specifically either for himself because he's almost finished a bottle and it's been out a week, or to gift to people who he knows are also into it.
Right.
Or to occasionally strike that trade where someone's looking for it but they don't know that they have enough to offer, and he'll be like, yeah, I'll do it.
I might have to try and attempt to trade with him at some point then, because based on the sounds of this,
He straight up told me like we'll trade samples because he gave me that Lux Row sample because he wasn't big on it. I
Really?
gave him 2 rye. He's not a bourbon guy. He does not like bourbon. He doesn't like cinnamon notes at all. That's his thing.
Okay.
So I told him that I'll take peated samples, and I'll give him ryes. I'll give him super oaky bourbons.
Right.
Like that. If I still had that Cayenne at 15, that'd probably be a good one for him.
Mhm.
But anyway, let's bring this back to the spot so I can end this because this video is gonna be an hour long.
Spots, they're the iconic Irish whiskey in my mind.
Dare I say they hit the spot?